My dear brothers and sisters, I am absolutely delighted to join you tonight for Iftar. At Iftar, we are reminded how much faith means to us all and how much faith is at the very centre of our everyday lives. And from that faith, we find a sense of strength and a sense of purpose and courage and resilience to help us through the tough times, as we've seen in the past 2 years. I'm mindful that my Muslim brothers and sisters, the amount of work they have done throughout the pandemic in Islington, raising money for charities, the mutual aid, the food packages, the huge level of contribution that they have made across Islington and across the wider of London. My fellow mayor from Ealing, from Redbridge, etc., have shared how much the Muslim communities have done to that. And it re-emphasises the point how much compassion and community are at the very centre of our lives. And it also reminds me of the central tenet as well, to do unto others what we would like unto ourselves. And from that faith and from those very key points of compassion and community, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I wish you Ramadan Mubarak.
I would like to start by saying that Ramadan holds a very special place in my heart and has always resonated with me as a time of support, as a time of a sort of spiritual time of mutual support and solidarity, and all these beautiful things getting together with the community and family. So this time for me, Ramadan is very special for many reasons. First of all, 3 years last time, right, after COVID, when finally we were able to meet in person, thanks to Jem for a kind invitation. And a second reason is that, well, Jem asked me to participate in the discussion, and two things sprang to my mind regarding communities. So as someone who worked on communities, we just had a chat about prisons and combating extremism. And as someone, as a criminologist like me, who worked on these issues of community, there are two things that I think are very important for communities to thrive. They are feeling safety, and also feeling belonging, having a home. And now, as we see all those images of war happening in many parts of the world, especially now in Ukraine, just now we realize how important these feelings are, feeling safe and having a home. And for me, again, it's so important to be here because I just came from Ukraine. I was evacuated from the war zone, from one of those cities that is being now bombed and shelled daily. So being here with you it feels very special, and definitely once again I would just like to make the point how blessed we are all to be safe in the UK and have a home, whether it's a physical home or maybe just a spiritual home, a home to feel that place that we have it. And many people worldwide, whether they are in Syria or Afghanistan or from Ukraine, they do not have this feeling. So yeah, just a note on how blessed we are here. Thanks for your kind invitation, Jem.
It's great to be here. Assalamu alaikum. I never say no to Turkish food, but more than that, it was really the idea of coming together in person with great people. I see many people here that I know and many that I've never met before, so I'm looking forward to some good conversations. I think leading on from what we just heard, and of course it does put things in perspective, and I in fact just came, I got late because I was helping somebody, a young mother with a newborn baby who's really struggling with just basic living expenses, couldn't pay her rent, etc. Yesterday I was helping somebody else. And equally, I sat in my car afterwards and really started crying because I felt, it really does put things in perspective. And the amazing thing about Ramadan is that it really does give us all a chance to, those of us that are fasting, a chance to really be very grateful and much more mindful, because as the verse in the Quran says, we have been asked to fast like those before us so that we are mindful of God. And I think, that really is sort of heightened at this time. So not just around the world, but really on our doorsteps. There are so many people struggling. And I think that most of us here are really privileged in so many ways. And I think what I really feel, and I'm really feeling it these days, is that we really do need to look to our neighbours, you know, to the people that are around us, and really try and help people as much as we can, because sometimes they don't need a lot, but they just need to know that other people are there. And the thing that moved me was that lady that I mentioned, she just gave me a hug at the end. And I thought to myself, you know, really that's actually what she needed, just to know that she's not by herself. So I think I would just like us all to remember there are lots of people around us that right now are really struggling. And I think whatever we can do, even if it is just a hug, then that's what we all need to do. But thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to speaking to some of you today. Thank you.
It struck me as I was asked to do this that I wanted to make the point for many people, certainly a lot of my students, had a really bad time during COVID. And I wish all of you my condolences if you had some terrible problem, bereavement and personal problems, because it's been really awful for so many people. And it's not over, of course it's not over. We're in a period now where we're able to get back together, and I think that's one of the main points today. Because we know the importance of belonging, we know the loneliness that people had during those lockdown periods. And we know that that's one thing religion does very well. I think most religions emphasize belonging. And so that's why it was difficult for many religions, because they couldn't get together. Of course, religion also does terrible things. You know, Putin, who's doing what he does in the name of Orthodox Christianity in Ukraine, is a good example. That religion is not always great. But we do notice, and we are noticing here, the importance of it. I loved your journal. I hate the word. You know, I'm an academic, but I hate long words. Do we have to say that? Ramadan Mubarak. I don't even know how to say epistemology, and that's okay, it's great. I like it, but I also like what I read there. It's not just about that, it's about being Ramadan. Oh, that's a great way of putting it. So, you know, to an outsider, and if I ask them, I know that my area, my neighborhood, or my students who aren't Muslim, ask them about Ramadan, they just say, oh, well, yeah, they have to fast. You guys have kept this part a secret. I mean, I go, yeah, like fast, we're at the end of the fasting, you know, they get together and have a great time. Oh, I didn't know that. And in your journal, that's what you stress, and it's really important that there are these ideas that one of the people you interviewed, Zidane, am I pronouncing that correctly? Zidane, a young Algerian university student based in the UK, and she talks about that so much. It's about, yes, a spiritual time, but it's also about being with family and being with the community. And as you know from my accent, I hope you recognize Canadian or American. It's been a really difficult time. I know for many of us that we haven't been able to get together over a few years. And now we're starting to, and that's why I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you. And the idea of your rekindling the community spirit again. And a reminder that rekindle comes from a verb, you know, it's a doing thing. It's a doing thing. And I thank you for organizing this and remembering and reminding us that, yes, communities are doing things. And we do it when we turn up. And we do it when we take action. And this is a great reminder of that. So thank you very much for inviting me to join you tonight.
Good evening, everybody. Ramzan Mubarak. You probably already can hear from my accent where I come from. That's okay. Thank you for inviting me. Now, actually, this is my first going out in 3 years since I retired from ill health. So it's wonderful to be here. It's lovely to be with the Dialogue Society. And I decided, once an iconoclast, always an iconoclast, so why change? So I'm going to speak, bearing in mind that Dialogue Society does so much academic work, and there are so many academics here tonight. I'm going to speak about university students and faith, particularly in respect to this country, and the event in the last couple of weeks. I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about. So, these remarks are all based on my work as a professional at a very high level with the Jewish and Muslim communities, basically mostly with top religious leaders and university students, and you can't get more difficult than that. Okay, so when you go to meet the university students and you think they're going to be all extremists and terrible and horrible and say everything, please begin by listening to their concern before you decide what they are going to say to you. Try and encourage them. Don't impose on them, but encourage them to see other perspectives and particularly notice disinformation, not misinformation, but disinformation. Try and remind them of their ability to use their critical analysis. Most of us use our brain when we are dealing with logical issues and use our heart, which means our emotions, when we are dealing with religion and other things. So encourage them to use their critical capacity also when they look at these social media things. Social medias are extremely effective. The simpler they are, the more effective they are. So there is no point in just telling them these are wrong understanding of this religion. You need to go much deeper. I'm not going to go much deeper at that moment. So just try and see on what level they are connecting to that messages. And it is not as simple as we normally think it is, okay? Make a great use of the word authoritative, underlined in capital letters, religious leadership in this country. And by authoritative religious leadership, I mean not those who tell the government, oh, you're wonderful, you're doing such a great job, or come and stand here and say, we really don't have any problem, everything is okay, we are going to do fine. No. Speak and bring authoritative religious leadership that is able to speak their mind truly. And finally, try and simplify your message. Don't overwhelm them with a big panoply of all this that we have to do and all this we have to achieve and all this we have to... No, go easy on them to begin with. Learn to understand them long before you begin to tell them whether they're right or they're wrong. And believe me, when I met many of my students the first time, they said things to me which made the hair in the back of my neck stand up. But they were talking to me, and that was the important thing. That was where we began. So, being a Jewish Muslim consultant, I will finish by saying a hadith from the Prophet: consider your neighbors up to 100 houses on either side. And by 100, he meant going beyond infinitive numbers. So 100 doesn't literally mean 100. When he said 100, he meant the world. And also, Prophet Jeremiah, who said, seek the peace of the city in which you live, because on its peace depends your peace. Thank you.